All right, I think we'll get going. So, you can't hear me. Oh, you can't hear me? Nobody ever says that. I can't hear Christine. What's up? Okay. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Advent, our first Sunday in Advent, even if it's warm outside and it still says November on the calendar. It is Advent, so welcome. So there are many announcements. I'll just add a little bit here. Don't forget to read the weekly newsletter when it comes out, because there's more than I will say today. And we'll start with our most important announcement from Mary, our co-chair of the board.
Good morning. I should carry on from last week and say, wearing my co-chair of the board hat, my first message is from Merging Waters chairpersons to the Merging Waters United Church congregation. This is calling for a congregational meeting, and this is the official announcement of this, which is being done on the Sundays and appears in the midweek message as well. Please be advised that the search committee established by the Congregational Board of Merging Waters United Church has made a recommendation to the board concerning the naming of a minister to fill the vacancy at our church. The board has accepted this recommendation and, as is required, is presenting this recommendation at a special meeting of the congregation to be held after church around noon, December 4th. That's next Sunday at Beaurepaire United Church location. Since we must have a minister present for this meeting to be official, we will need to wait for that person, who will be Reverend Elizabeth Jones from Cedar Park, to come to us after her own service on that date. We are therefore suggesting that you bring a brown bag lunch to tide you over until the meeting can start. If there are any questions or concerns regarding all of this, please reach out to either Jan Langelier or myself. Jan is not here today, but I will be, and through lunch or by phone or email or in person. Thank you on that subject. And then, from the choir, there is a news item. Michael and the choir had a discussion about this event on Thursday night, so it has not had a chance to be in print yet. We'll look after that for the midweek message this week. But this is to announce a Christmas carol evening, and that will take place at the Beaurepaire location on Tuesday, December the 20th at 7:30 p.m. And this will be a mainly music evening. The Merging Waters United Church Choir doing Christmas songs from their recent years of repertoire, some piano selections, and the sing-along of Christmas carols. So please join us and tell your friends. Let's have a fun evening. And we will accept donations at that occasion, that is monetary ones, which will be divided equally between St. Columba House and Montreal City Mission. This goes along with the Christmas Eve arrangement for doing the same, since it is so close to Christmas. So we hope to see you there.
Thank you, Mary. I realized I didn't advance the slide, but it's not very interesting anyway. Okay, so we'll start with what's happening right after service. For one thing, coffee is actually in that corner. Thank you, Peter, for setting it up. The reason for that is that the Women's Advent event is taking place in Adair Hall and is all set up already. So if you want to grab your coffee, remember it's right here. And very conveniently, right beside that is the Caring for Kenya sales table, and Susan Cruikshank has items for sale to support our programs with Kenya, including the Ebi Kemanami scholarship. Okay, let's move on to what's upcoming. Advent is going on, as I've already mentioned. There's a lot going on in both Merging Waters and around the cluster of West Island churches. So we have a schedule in our midweek message. And as you see, we got more going on. We've got a concert to add to that. Also, the cluster is going to be coming together to do events for Blue Christmas. That's not everybody finds Christmas a joyful time of year because of recent or long-time circumstances. So there's a quieter evening service planned December 13th online and December 14th in person at Cedar Park United. And additionally, we will all be getting together and worshiping on New Year's Day, January 1st, because what could be more fun than getting up early for church on January 1st? And that will be at Lakeshore Trinity. You might know it better as St. John's United, but that's its new name. So that's coming up in the next little while. Follow our schedule, of course, please. And part of that will be White Gift Sunday, which is December 4th. It said the 11th in the newsletter. It is the 4th officially, so that's 1 week from now. And please check the newsletter. The number one preferred gift for our raising of funds and gifts for St. Columba House is Visa gift cards because they're so versatile. So that's appreciated, but of course your donation of any kind is appreciated. Don't forget, after a wonderful and meaningful stewardship awareness service last week, your packages are still available to pick up if you haven't picked it up, or to drop off the filled out version. Those are in boxes at the back of the church. There is a strong possibility of a Soup Pot Cinema coming up. The date chosen is December 9th. We are just waiting for the confirmation details. Please stay tuned. So that's it for announcements. Before we start the traditional territory acknowledgement, I would like to say a few words about our guest leader today, Sheila Southen of Durana Counseling. So personally, I've known Sheila for a good 5 years. I met her through an event at a wellness center. She's now become my weekly meditation group leader. Can't miss it. It's a focal point of my week. So very excited to have her here. She was a full-time guidance counselor with the L.B. Pearson School Board, has worked as a private counselor. She has certifications from the Chopra Center in California. She's been a long-time yoga student and instructor, and I think we can just sum up that she is truly a lifelong learner, interested in everything, particularly the linkage of mind and body, and I really think we learned something today with her. I'm very thrilled to have her here. And now, if you would join me, we will acknowledge the traditional territory. As we gather, we acknowledge that our church buildings and our homes are located on the traditional land of Indigenous peoples, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. We commit to continuing to learn how to be better stewards of the land we inhabit as well.
Thank you, Christine, and hello, everybody. It's been wonderful to have this warm welcome today. And, sorry. Is that better? Thank you. Thanks for letting me know. So we'll start our look at self-love with a poem by Jalaluddin Rumi, who many of you may know was a Sufi poet. And this one you may have heard as well. It's about being human. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them all at the door laughing and invite them in. Intriguing.
This song that I wrote a few years ago follows that quite well. I wanted to write a welcoming song about each one of you and myself. And I did some research about how amazing you are, each one of you, all of us. For instance, this is where it's maybe a little different from a different angle than what we just heard. All of who you are is sacred. 7 octillion atoms make your whole. Did you know that you're made of that many atoms? I don't know how many that is, but I think it's a lot. And every one of those is more than 1 billion years old. That's you. Sacred and ancient are you. All of who you are is awesome, a miracle of interwoven parts. Biology, emotions, memory, ego too. Awesome, interwoven are you. All of who you are is welcome, accepted and appreciated and affirmed. Your gender, culture, character make a special you, sacred and ancient, awesome, interwoven, welcome and affirmed are you.
While Stephen comes forward to lead our Advent candle lighting, I'd just like to welcome you to Advent again. And if you've been reading, you know our theme is Your Road to Love, and we're starting with self-love today. But we haven't forgotten about hope, peace, joy, and love as well, don't worry. And here for our first candle on the road, I just want to say thank you to Lynn for coming up with our amazing theme diagram.
So if you're at home, you can feel free to light a candle if you wish, if it's safe and if you feel up to it. The Word was first. The Word present to God. God present to the Word. The Word was God, in readiness for God from day one. Christ is presented as the true light coming into the world. In commemoration of that coming, we light candles for the 4 weeks leading to Christmas and reflect on the coming of Christ. Christ is always coming, always entering a troubled world, a wounded heart. And so we light the first candle, the candle of hope, and dare to express our longing for peace, for healing, and the well-being of all creation.
So thank you, Michael and choir, for that beautiful music. It suits the theme so well. Lovely, well done. So the committee has decided to start with self-love. And so I wanted to share a few thoughts today about what that is and why it's important. If we consider the opposite of self-love, we might go as far as saying it's self-loathing. And while most of us would think that a bit drastic to describe our own situations, I'd like you to consider an example. If someone says to you, "I really like how you did that," and your mouth is saying, "Oh, thank you," but inside your own mind and heart, instead you're telling yourself, "Oh, but that's because he doesn't know what I really didn't do," or "I should have gone so much further," or "he hasn't seen the mistakes yet that I made," or "she's just trying to be nice." Those are ways that we block our own experience of feeling good about ourselves. So they're leading us to that self-loathing side. And if we have that as a constant internal monologue, then we're blocking the most important part of an exchange like that. We're blocking ourselves from receiving the experience of love, the experience of gratitude. And it's the experience that makes the biggest difference. So if the idea that you're never thin enough, you're never fit enough, you're never smart enough, you never try hard enough, you're never kind enough, if that has any familiarity to you, then that's kind of where you might want to take a second look at your own level of self-love. Now I'm going to tell you why your body and mind need self-love. Some of this information comes from my studies with mind-body healing. We are living in a state of chronic stress that I'm associating with that state where we never give ourselves a break. We never stop to, as neuropsychologist Rick Hansen calls, take in the good. We never stop to feel good about ourselves. Then we're kind of living in a state where we're a little bit anxious all the time. We're just a little bit on edge. And that is living with chronic stress. And in our state of chronic stress, what happens in the interaction between the body and mind is that the immune and endocrine system and the nervous system choreograph all of the rest of the systems of the body and mind in a way that helps us to survive. What we call the fight or flight response has many physiological symptoms, and this is not an exhaustive list, but it was developed over human history so that we could survive acute short-term situations where we actually had to survive a threatening situation. So all of these things happen in the body simultaneously without any control, with very little conscious control on our part. And as I said, this isn't an exhaustive list, but let me pick one out of this list. When you're feeling highly anxious, you're feeling kind of threatened or frustrated, if you're feeling like, and you're holding that feeling in, one of the things that happens in the bloodstream is that the platelets in the bloodstream get sticky. Why would that be historically? Why that is that this response was designed to help us survive an attack by a saber-toothed tiger, who we actually did coexist with. And so the body and the mind are working together to say, in case you get cut open, we're going to make the platelets sticky so that you don't bleed out. So that one example gives you an idea of what a miraculous response the fight or flight response is, and how pervasive its effects are on the whole body. So what happens, this is that same list of some of the symptoms of living with chronic stress or living in a chronic state of stress. And I'm calling it here a lack of self-love, a lack of nurturing. We call this, the nocebo effect. I mean, you're probably familiar with the placebo effect. Pharmaceutical companies always try to compensate for the placebo effect, which is the positive belief that a medication is going to have a positive effect on you. But we don't think too much about the opposite, and how living in a state of constant self-recrimination, guilt, shame, frustration, has a negative effect on the whole physiology. And the reason that this is because every feeling that you ever have had is a cascade of hormones and neuropeptides throughout the body. In other words, those are the chemical messengers between our mind and our feelings, our hearts, and the physiology. They choreograph what happens. So as you see on the right side of this slide, living in a chronic state of stress, anxiety, frustration has, in the long term, I'm not saying it's the only cause, by the way. Obviously, there are physiological causes, but it exacerbates every one of these diseases that you read down the list, and you can see that these are the common diseases of the Western world. So that's why getting to self-love on an everyday basis, we hope, or some kind of a regular basis, is so important, even for your body, as well as for your mind and your heart. So How do we do that? Well, I mentioned Rick Hansen's advice to take in the good. And this is what I'm hoping to share with you a little later this morning, too. You're all familiar with practices of meditation, and contemplation, but it's that way that we can go throughout our days, we can move throughout our days, taking in anything that makes us go, ah. Like if you drove by the river this morning, did you notice how calm it was and how everything's reflected on the surface? That's a moment like that. Or if someone says, hey, thanks so much, you did that really well, that's a moment. You're not being selfish or egotistical. You're just saying, thank you, and allowing yourself to feel it. So the benefits of these moments of self-acceptance and nurturing, we'll talk about that in a moment, are moments when your whole body-mind can regulate itself. Because what happens physiologically when we feel good is that all of those negative effects on the last couple of slides rebalance themselves. Because the body-mind is constantly working to come to a state of what we call homeostasis. The body's always trying to nurture you, repair injuries, fight off illnesses, and cleanse and do exactly what you need. And so in a way, these moments allow you to get out of your body's way and allow it to do what it needs to do. So we can adapt, we can adjust, and we can work with the wisdom of the body and mind. And the last point here is you know how, you may have noticed, if you're lying awake at night and your mind is running, they call it monkey mind, got a million thoughts. The things that keep you awake at night are either in the past, things maybe you wish happened differently, or are coming up and you're a little worried about how things are going to work out. So what's happening there when you stop to step back a moment and realize is that here and now, at that moment, you're lying in bed, probably warm and safe, and your body would love to sleep. But your mind is not here now. Your mind is there and then, in both directions. So practices like meditation help us to focus on being here now, where in fact probably things are all right, and maybe even better than that. There's a whole institute that's called the Institute of Heart Math that studies heart-brain coherence. And if you want to learn more, you may find that would be a very interesting place to be. Oh, now it's advancing, okay. So our ways of self-care are very individual. I love this slide. I know it's hard. You're going to be okay. Here's chocolate and $6 million. But I wanted to mention this because our way of self-nurturing is very individual. We're sold by our own media and news, that you have to have $6 million before you can relax. But in fact, moments of tranquility, moments of peace, help us to recognize what we really need, what really works for us. So it might be going for a walk in the woods with your dog. It might be setting aside time to have a nice, calm, quiet bath instead of rushing through a shower. It might be having a potluck dinner with some friends, or it might be you fill in the blank. Because anything that makes you feel is worth paying attention to for your own method of self-nurturing. And kind of finally, I've spoken about body and mind, but what about our soul or spirit? So here I want to propose a question, and each one of us needs to answer this question, and probably already has. When you do something good for someone else or another situation, where does that energy come from? Now, if you tend to think that the energy comes entirely from you, from your own will and determination, from your own mind and your own intellect, and in a sense from your own ego, then you need self-love to reach your own stores of energy. If, on the other hand, you believe that when you do something good and when you have a moment where you share an experience, a positive experience with someone else, is that energy coming through you instead from a force that you are part of, but that is greater than you? Then let me ask you this: who are you to shut off that valve, that flow coming into you? Who are you to say, no, I don't deserve that? Because maybe the decision should not be up to you, and maybe you deserve more than you have been taking in. The flow doesn't start with you or me, and it won't end with you or me. But being part of that flow means being open to feeling self-love.
From The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. We will now observe our offering. We don't pass the plate anymore, but we will enjoy the music, and we thank you already for what you are giving to us, either in the back or by online donation, pre-registered donation. Thank you.
to invite you to share, join me in a short meditation now. And in order to do that, it's best if you sit in a comfortable vertical position as you are. Take everything out of your hands if you can, and uncross your arms and legs. Put your feet flat on the floor. Now, the reason that we do that is so that you won't be distracted by using any of the muscles of your arms and legs to keep anything in place. We settle in to as comfortable a position as we can, letting go of as much tension as we can. I also do invite you to close your eyes, although that's not essential. I'll keep mine open to make sure everybody's okay. And we should be doing this for just about, well, we'll see how long it goes. Okay. So if you'd like to settle in for this meditation, I invite you to close your eyes now and to begin just by feeling all of the points of contact between your body and the chair beneath you, and between your feet and the floor. Just focus on the natural weight of the body pressing gently into the pew, and the natural weight of the legs pressing towards the floor through the soles of your feet. And for this first couple of breaths, feel or imagine that through all of those points of contact and all of the layers beneath us, we are ultimately supported by and to the earth itself. So for these next couple of breaths, feel the stability and security of the earth rising through those points of contact to permeate your whole body and mind. Feel stability and security, breath by breath, until you feel it in your bones. And once you have that stability in your bones, you can turn your awareness over the next few exhalations to letting go of any tension you become aware of that you just don't have to hold on to right now. And we'll make the decision to bring our awareness here and now for this next little while to this shared experience. So beginning with the top of your scalp, feel a warmth and softness spreading in all directions there, as though someone was pouring warm oil or honey at the top of your scalp. And feel it soothe and smooth across your forehead, through all the tiny muscles around your eyes and across the bridge of your nose. Allow that softness to ease down your temples, around your ears, into your jaw muscles. Let your whole face relax. Allow even the tongue to settle where it rests in the mouth. Then feel that warmth and softness now making its way down the back of your scalp into your neck. And feel your shoulders from the inside. And they might separate and drop ever so slightly as you let go of any tension that's held there. Feel warmth and softness make its way down your arms now, through your biceps and triceps, pooling in your elbows, flowing through your forearms, into all of the tiny muscles and tendons and even the bones, ears and hands, so that they too may feel a little softer and warmer than they did a moment ago. The next breath brings awareness back up between the shoulder blades, and you feel that warmth and softness spreading in both directions around the rib cage to the breastbone, so that this next breath and every next breath is received and released a little more easily than it was before. Let go. Let go of your belly now. Allow the muscles to soften. And trust that behind the softened muscles inside the body, every organ, every system, indeed every cell, is doing exactly what it needs to do here and now for your optimal wellness. Awareness now between the shoulder blades again, and feel that softness flowing down the upper back, middle back, lower back. And let go of your whole pelvic structure, buttocks and thighs, settling towards the support of the earth. That softness pools in the knees, flows down through the shins and calves, into all of the tiny muscles and tendons and even the bones of the ankles and feet, so that they too may rest ever so slightly towards the support of the earth. Spend your next couple of breaths now doing your own body scan, searching out and letting go of anywhere you're holding on to that you don't have to right now. For this next short while, there is nowhere else you need to be, and nothing else you need to be doing, but focusing your awareness within. Now imagine, if you will, that at the center of your chest, right near your real heart, your energetic heart, that you picture or imagine a tiny human figure about the size of your thumb, and it's sitting there in the core of your heart. And that figure is glowing brilliant white light, because that figure contains every beautiful, positive quality that you have ever received or expressed. In that little being is all of your capacity to feel gratitude, all of your ability to understand and try to help, all of your ability to share love with people, and all of your ability to forgive others and yourself. So as you breathe in and out, feel or imagine that that tiny being with all of the qualities of love itself begins to grow, so that now it fills your chest. And you feel that glow, you feel that subtlest vibration throughout your whole abdomen now. And the being grows breath by breath to fill every part of your body, from the top of your scalp to the tips of your fingers and the soles of your toes. So that that glow, that experience, that of being unconditionally accepted, acknowledged, indeed loved, fills every organ, every system, and dances in every cell of your body, here and now. Now we go just a bit further, and now that you are full of this glowing experience, allow it to extend beyond your skin, in your imagination and in your experience. You feel this glow emanating outside of your skin in all directions. Feel that love extending to overlap with the people nearest you, until our collective glow fills this entire building and can extend beyond. Because we know that where love is concerned, space and time are not limitations. So for these last couple of breaths, send your love wherever you know it's needed. Doesn't matter how far or even when. You know. Allow it to flow now. Within you and beyond your own physical body. And then we'll bring our awareness back to all of the sensations involved as your body breathes itself. And at first, just notice, how is your body breathing itself right now? Is it fast or slow? Is it deep or shallow? You don't have to change it right now. Just notice what's happening in your body-mind. And then we'll begin to consciously draw in a little bit more air with the next few breaths as we close this experience. Begin by breathing as though you could breathe directly down into your belly, almost bypassing the lungs, but feeling the flow of air deep into your lungs. Inhaling so that you inflate the belly like a little balloon, and then releasing each breath easily. Now draw in a little more air over the next few breaths, inhaling into the belly and into the chest and back, feeling the capacity of the lower 2/3 of the lungs. Experiencing the miraculous exchange between your body and the world around you. And preparing together to draw our full 3-part breath, where we will inhale down to the belly, expand the inhalation into the lungs, into the chest and back, and then we will fill the lungs as much as we can, right up to the collarbone, where we'll pause for a moment before we release that breath with a sigh. Let's do that together now. Inhaling down to the belly, expanding into the back and chest, filling the lungs right to the collarbone, holding it for a moment, and then letting it go. Beautiful. One more like that. Inhaling, belly, chest and back, up to the collarbone, and don't be afraid to make a bit of noise. Okay. Well, as your body regains control of its own pace and depth of breathing, move your body any way that it tells you it needs to here and now. And whenever you feel ready, just open your eyes. was so inspired by Michael's choice of music, I was just about to try and change this final. There is a beautiful poem by Rabindranath Tagore that is not written here. This is also a beautiful quote by Mahatma Gandhi, but Rabindranath Tagore was an East Indian poet, an Indian poet, Hindu, who won the Nobel Prize for Poetry in the 1940s, I believe. So, if with your permission, I will recite that poem because it's so perfect for this. It goes, the same stream of life that runs through my veins, runs through the world, and dances in rhythmic measure. It's the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth into numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It's the same life that is rocked in the ocean's cradle of life and death, in ebb and flow. I feel my limbs made glorious by the touch of this world of life. And my pride is in the life throb of ages coursing through my veins this instant.
I'd just like to say thank you again to our guest, Sheila Southen, for making us maybe take another look inside. And I welcome you all to join us next week on our Road to Love, which is love through sharing. Thank you.